Here on this London high street, things are getting back to normal. But the government has decided to put the brakes on the easing of lockdown measures in England, a sign of growing concern about a rise in COVID-19 cases. The changes mean businesses like casinos, bowling alleys and indoor theatres, along with music venues, will have to stay shut for a few more weeks. The government says it wants to avoid a second wave of the virus, and out on the streets, people seem to support the move.
I think it's the right decision given what the medical professionals have been saying, but I think it's very difficult for the whole of the entertainment industry at the moment to be able to go on, make a living and make plans when they're changed at the last minute.
As you can hear from the news, the second wave of this pandemic is coming up again, so it's better we don't just relax everything.
We've got to restrict and keep the public safe. So obviously I believe in the government and what they're doing. I know they've made some silly decisions at the start, but then again with hindsight we didn't really understand how big this epidemic is.
Should be locking down harder.
Locking down harder?
Yeah.
Why is that?
So we can release, so we can get over it, get it right down, and then we can have these things open.
If it's based on science, then it's a good decision. People criticise them for not locking down early enough, and then when we start doing things now that stop people going on holiday, they complain. You can't have it both ways.
Prime Minister Boris Johnson announced the changes ahead of the weekend, flanked by his most senior scientific advisers, who warned the UK is nearing the limit of how much it can reopen.
I don't want to tell people to spend less time with their friends, but unless people follow the rules and behave safely, we may need to go further.
There will be many businesses and individuals disappointed with the latest lockdown extension. But one major change moving ahead will be the end to shielding. 2.2 million of the highest risk people in England, Scotland and Northern Ireland are now allowed to leave their homes and go to work. The so-called vulnerable parts of society were told to isolate back in late March to protect themselves from COVID.
The early signs for retailers are positive. Consumer spending did bounce back in June. But with more jobs being axed weekly, many here in the UK are bracing themselves for tougher times ahead.